Greetings, everyone. This is Matt Faiello, Technical Marketing Engineer with the Cisco Cloud Networking Compute BU, and we're back with another Intersight Managed Mode Expert Series video. Today, we're going to be talking about IMM policy cloning and talking about the nuances with deep policy cloning. So, with that, we'll share a few slides and discuss, and then on to a quick demonstration. So policy cloning is a very powerful and convenient tool. So it helps you to scale out. I've already created the policies in one org. I like how I've configured them. I invested time and effort in that. I just want to quickly copy, basically clone those over, okay, to an adjacent org. And of course, you can clone within the same org. That actually had support way back. Okay, but as of last fall of 23, we enabled cloning across orgs. And the beauty of this is it does not rely on org sharing whatsoever. You can take two disparate siloed organizations and clone across those organizations as long as you have access to those. Um, I do want to say that kind of a prelude here is by the end of this month, in June 2024, we should have server profile template cloning. So that's going to be a deep clone operation where you can move the server profile template from one org to another and clone all the underlying policies over as well. So that will be huge. We'll do other templates in the future, but we're going to start off with server profile templates. I'll have another video showing that capability. So with cloning, we really have simple policy cloning. That's policies that don't have any underlying references to pools or another embedded policy, like your bias policy, for example. Simple policy cloning. Okay, and you're going to clone that. It's going to keep the same name in the destination org, as an example. But for deep policy cloning, those are those policies that have underlying embedded policies and pools. Okay, so a classic example would be a LAN or a SAN connectivity policy. And when you have an embedded policy, the software will recognize that and present you with two options. First is the same name option. That means that if you clone that policy with the embedded policies over to a destination org, and that destination org has an underlying policy with the same name, then you're going to take on that policy that is there, that's already resident in the destination. And I got a graphical example on the next couple slides that will pound that home. Okay. The other option is clone all. That means regardless of what might be there in the destination org, I want to clone all the embedded policies over. And if there's a policy there with the same name, oh well, I'm just going to change the name of what's cloned over. I'll tack on a underscore clone to the policy name. Okay, so I'm guaranteed to have the same settings. Again, let's move to the next slide. I got a graphical representation. Okay, so let's go through a graphic example here of deep policy cloning. So here I have organization A, org A, and I have a LAN connectivity policy, and I've added a VNIC. And as such, I have different embedded policies in the addition of adding a VNIC to the LAN connectivity policy. So I have a Ethernet network group policy, Ethernet control policy, QoS, and adapter policies. So now I have another org B, and I wish to clone this LAN connectivity policy over to org B. And since there's embedded policies within the LAN connectivity policy, this will be a deep policy clone operation. It just so happens that I have, for whatever reason, an existing Ethernet network group policy with the same exact name as what is in the origin org A. Okay. As you can see, the VLANs are different. The settings of that policy are different, even though it has the same name. So if I use the same name option to do deep policy cloning, okay, what's going to happen then is everything gets cloned over, but because Bravo 26-ENG already existed in org B, I'm just going to use that as part of my LAN connectivity policy. That could be what you intend and what you desire. It also could be a surprise. Okay. So I don't want you to be surprised. Understand the behavior and either use that to your advantage or in the case of where you do have potentially some objects, some policies in your destination org, you can always use the next example, which is clone all. So let's go ahead and move to that. Okay, so here's our clone all example. And same setup, okay, and org B does in fact have a Bravo 26-ENG policy already there, okay? But since I chose to clone all, then what happens is that Bravo 26-ENG from the source org, okay, automatically gets cloned over and we change the name. We put a underscore clone on the policy name. And you can actually delineate what suffix gets added. But you can see that we're using the original VLAN policy with the original settings. So that hopefully helps explain the two different behaviors of deep policy cloning. Okay, so let's perform a demonstration of deep cloning here, and we are in Intersight. Let's first go to System and Organizations. Okay, and you can see that I've created a new organization, T-Org-C. Okay, and if we go into that organization, you can see I've created one policy there. So let's go back to infrastructure service and go to policies. And you can see I've got a couple Ethernet network group policies that share the exact same name. This one I just created in T-Org-C. That's that one policy that you saw referring to and when I showed you the org. This has VLANs 206 through 210. So this is matching the slides that I presented. Okay. And then what I did was I went back to an existing uh, Ethernet network group policy. I changed the name. It's really in T-Org-B, but I changed the name. And this was the original 200 through 205 VLANs, okay, from a settings perspective. So let's go to T-Org-B and let's look at the LAN connectivity policy. And let's edit that guy. Let's go forward. And here's our one VNIC, and let's edit that guy. And first things first, you can see that I created this VNIC using a VNIC template. Okay, so we'll discuss that a little bit more. Right now, we don't officially, as it stands right now, we don't officially clone templates, right? That's a capability that's coming soon to server profile templates. Okay, but you're going to see that since this template is part of the LAN connectivity policy and we're doing a deep clone of that, we're going to kind of backdoor our way to cloning a VNIC template. Okay, and you'll see that. So I just want to bring your attention to that. Um, Ultimately, we're going to be able to go to any template, okay, and just do a deep clone operation. That's the goal. All right. And first things first will be server profile templates. And that should come end of June in July timeframe. So also notice that we have a MAC pool. Okay. And here's the Ethernet network group. And there's that Bravo 26 ENG. Again, I changed that name to match what was in the slideware. Okay. To keep the scenario the same. Okay. So let's go ahead and cancel that and cancel here. So now we're going to go back to that LAN connectivity policy and we're going to do a deep clone. And you know it's a deep clone because you have this additional options down here, attach policy and pool behavior. Okay, so this time I'm going to change the name. Okay, I really don't need the clone suffix. That's there by default. And I'm certainly going to change the org to torgc. Okay, so basically cloning, deep cloning from torgb to torgc. So I'm doing a build out, right? I'm expanding. I need to get into a new organization. And again, once we have that server profile template cloning, that's going to be huge because then I don't have to go in and clone individual policies to get them over to a new org, right? I can just clone the whole thing over, go maybe make a few edits, okay, and then have my infrastructure just horizontally scale. Okay, so let's go ahead and use this option down here. So in other words, if a policy exists in the destination org that we're cloning to, we're going to take on that new policy in the destination org. So let's go ahead and click clone. And notice we have a workflow that kicks off there. So when you do a deep clone, it's a little bit more involved. So you actually see the workflow. And it takes a few seconds for that to complete, as opposed to maybe a simple policy clone that doesn't have any embedded objects. All right, so let's go ahead and refresh the screen. And we're not going to see it show up here because I've got a filter for torgb. So let's go over to all policies. And there you see my torgc LAN connectivity policy that was just cloned. So I'm going to go into edit mode on that. Okay. And there's that VNIC. And let's go ahead and look at that. Okay, so you can see that the template was brought over. Okay, so we kind of backdoored cloned the template through the LAN connectivity policy deep clone. Okay, so just bring your attention to that. All right, again, if you went to the templates and tried, you couldn't clone today a template outright, okay, to a new org, but that's coming in the future. And if we go down here to the Ethernet network group policy, there's our Bravo 26 ENG. But look, the allowed VLANs is different, right? It's that policy that already existed by name in the destination org. So 206 through 210. That might be your desired behavior. It might not. Bottom line, know the behavior and don't let it be a surprise. Either use it to your advantage or not. Okay. So let's cancel out of that. I want to bring attention to, let's see, the templates. There's our VNIC templates. And we certainly backdoored cloned, okay, an additional template there because we cloned the LAN connectivity policy. But today, I cannot go here and just outright clone. Okay, again, future capability. We certainly want you to be able to go to any of these templates uh, and be able to clone outright. But certainly the first things first is the server profile template, and that's coming. Also, I want to make mention of the pools. Notice a new pool was created, but there's no IDs. That's by design. So we're going to clone the pool by name to the right org, okay, but we're not going to populate IDs into that. So that's something that you're going to have to come and clean up. Obviously, we don't want to create a scenario where we have duplicate IDs. So that's the purpose in not copying the IDs over. Okay, you're going to have to come up and you're highly suggested in bringing up a new type of format here. Okay, so you're probably going to change that fourth octet to make it unique. And you're going to have to populate that in before you start using these policies in server profile templates, server profiles. Okay, so that really covers the use case there. We could go and clone, do a deep clone, and do the all policy But honestly, what that's doing is just cloning that existing Bravo 26, and it gives you the option of doing underscore clone and bringing that over. So I don't think there's any much more to learn than what you've already been exposed to there. Um, so that completes our demonstration. Okay, so before we close out this video, I want to call your attention to the org sharing and policy cloning white paper that I authored last fall. It's out there, so feel free to scan the QR code and go right to it and peruse through that white paper. And that completes our video today about IMM policy cloning, particularly focusing on deep cloning. I hope you were able to pick up a few things along the way. Stay tuned for more Intersight Manage Mode Expert Series videos. A lot more coming. Thank you.